When people are coming from NeuroProgrammer and demoing Mind Workstation, I would assume that one of the things that they know is possible and try to do as part of their demo is to import some of their NeuroProgrammer sessions that they're familiar with. So if you don't know how to do that, or you didn't know Mind Workstation could do that, let's just take a quick look. So you go under the File menu and choose Import from other formats. Now, there's a lot of formats that you can import. Most of the transparent software formats, MPS, BWT, which is the brainwave transfers, these are the ones from Mind Stereo and Gneural sessions. So you have those as your choices of imports. So you can pretty much get any of the transparent sessions, which is quite advantageous if you're a TCN member, for instance, and you already have all those programs. You can repurpose all those sessions in Mind Workstation. But let's go ahead and choose. Of course, you would go to your Documents folder, NeuroProgrammer sessions. I'll just go through that. Just go to your Documents folder, NeuroProgrammer 3 Documents Sessions. And we're going to get meditation, 7 Hertz meditation disassociative, and open that. Okay, so here's where a bit more experience with Mind Workstation would make a better impression, and I'm hoping this video will help you with that idea. Because when you first import the NeuroProgrammer session, and this is your first exposure to Mind Workstation, you're thinking, well, this is messier. What's the advantage of this? You know, over here I've got 5 tracks, and over here I've got 10 tracks. So what is the advantage of that? It's actually more confusing to me, because now I've got to figure out what's synced with what and what's controlling, that. Well, that's just a part of the importing process. That's just the conversion that Mind Workstation goes through, because in NeuroProgrammer, all you really have available on the timeline is the entrainment setting, the entrainment frequencies for each one of these tracks. And they operate separately from each other, although again you can sync them to copy the settings from one to the other. So Mind Workstation carries that forward just in the import process, but it's redundant. There's no reason that any of this would have to be like that, because when you look at the actual layout of the entrainment tracks, you're looking at frequency of 12 and 11.5, 12, 11.5, and 12. And it's a disassociative session, which means that these left and right are slightly offset from each other, in this case by 0.5 hertz. So remember, when you hover over a track in Mind Workstation, you have the little chain that appears at the top on the entrainment track, the orange chain. See, come on and off. And it shows you which entrainment track is assigned to that particular content track. Now, we can easily pare these down, because there's only 2 types. There's a 12 starting, and then it follows through, and this follows throughout, and an 11.5. And these are just duplicates of that. So we can immediately know that, all right, I can get rid of. So how it looks basically is that 12 is assigned to the left and 11.5 is assigned to the right. So let's just delete these tracks. We don't need them. Okay, so already that's a little bit cleaner in the presentation. Now all we need to do is just reassign those tracks back. So I just go under track properties and entrainment, set entrainment to entrainment track 1. And that would be the left. This one would be the right, so that'll be entrainment track 2. set entrainment track 2, and that's assigned back. And then the audio strobe was assigned to the top track, I believe. Yeah, the frequency of 12. So we'll assign it to entrainment track 1. All right, so that gets us back to a simpler layout. Now, we can go further in Mind Workstation. This left and right, we don't need that either. We don't actually even need a left and a right isochronic tone track. And here's why that is. Let's just go ahead and delete this right one. All right, we'll remove this track. Because now we can go in and we can say, take away the same for left and right sides on the entrainment. And on the left, we decided we wanted track 1. And on the right, we wanted track 2. Okay, so see, that eliminates the need for even separating the tracks. So I can get rid of this track. Just make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, can get rid of this track, and I can go in and reassign. Take away the same for left and right sides. Get right and left. We need 2 on the right, and we need 1 on the left. Okay. So now we've pared that down even further. Now on the audio strobe itself, I'm pretty sure it doesn't in NeuroProgrammer. It's just set to the midpoint, right? So it's just syncing along with one of the tracks, but we don't have to have that in Mind Workstation. I guess you could create another audio strobe track in NeuroProgrammer if you wanted, but we'll do that same thing. We'll take away the left and the right sync, and we'll assign entrainment track 2 to the right and entrainment track 1 to the left. And there we go. So now we can easily move this down to be more viewable. And so we end up with a total of 5 tracks. All right. But again, the advantage is if I want to go in and just add a node right there, then it cascades through all the tracks. All right. So if I went in and set it to 12, and then I set this one to 11.5, and then I want to be sure that their times line up, so I'm just going to make it at 18 minutes there and 18 minutes there. And so now we just cascaded all of the entrainment across. Now you can see that the chain shows both on all 3 of these tracks because we're using the left and the right side. I just wanted to point that out. We'll go into more detail about converting sessions from NeuroProgrammer to Mind Workstation. But I do get the feeling that when people first demo Mind Workstation by importing a NeuroProgrammer session, that they get a wrong idea of what Mind Workstation is actually capable of, just by virtue of the fact of how the import process works. So stay tuned for more NeuroProgrammer to Mind Workstation videos.